General Hospital now with breaking news. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell is set to make a major public safety announcement any moment now. Sources tell KOMO the announcement is regarding Seattle Police Chief Adrian Diaz.
Regarding the future of our outstanding Seattle Police Department, that Chief Adrian Diaz will be stepping aside to work on special assignments, and Chief Sue Rahr will serve as interim police chief starting tomorrow. And I'd like to elaborate on the thought that went into this and sort of the process that went into this. And I want to start off by talking about Chief Diaz and the leadership that he's demonstrated to the city of Seattle. Under Chief Diaz's leadership, our police service has met all but 2 of the federal consent decree provisions, and progress on the remaining 2, discipline, accountability, and crowd management, is progressing well. Together, we've launched a dual dispatch pilot with the new care department that I think many of you have followed. We've signed a new contract with the Seattle Police Officers Union and implemented a new recruitment and retention path. I'll rattle a few statistics that demonstrates Chief Diaz's leadership. Right now, homicide year over year is down 44%. Total reported crime is down 5%. Since the SPAW contract was approved, we've been receiving around 17 to 19 applications a day. And at the same time last year, we were at 5 to 6 applications a day. That's a 300% increase. Again, total reported crime continues to decrease this year, and the number of, quite frankly, the number of events we're seeing, the number of interactions that are positive we're seeing, as demonstrated by our application under the consent decree under this chief's leadership, has been outstanding. I first met Chief Diaz, who, by the way, served with the Seattle Police Department over 27 years. I should also mention that he's the president of the Police Executive Research Forum, PERF, which is a reputable organization that does some outstanding work. I first met Chief Diaz around 2007, 2008 in community, where he's established himself as a community-based kind of person. He has credibility in many organizations, particularly in underrepresented or black and brown communities, people of color. And I would be the first to say that he has his integrity, in my mind, is beyond reproach. And he is a friend, and I want to thank him for his service. We are now looking at the internal culture, of course, at the police department. We are trying to create a representative department of who we are at our best, a culture that we can stand in any city and say we are truly the best, realizing that there are cultural issues in darn near every police department in this country. We want to stand shoulder to shoulder with everyone, and it talks about race discrimination, gender discrimination, diversity, inclusivity, that we model our values. Recent allegations of discrimination and prejudice and harassment in the department, as you well know, has caused me to appoint an independent and objective investigator to review these allegations and the case files that have been completed. This work continues to be underway. We support that work, and I also reviewed the report on the perspectives of our female officers and found their feedback incredibly important. So Chief Diaz and I had many discussions over the years, and I think he should be commended by suggesting that we put the needs of the city first. We put the needs of the police department first. He's agreed to set aside and to work on special projects and to realize the kind of culture change that we want perhaps could be better served with him stepping aside. We also want to make sure that anyone that has any complaints within the department do not have a threat of retaliation or any blowback, so to speak, while the investigation occurs. I want to personally, again, thank Chief Diaz for his service and for his continued dedication to the city of Seattle. And I look forward to continuing working with him in the police department in that regard. Sue Rahr is uniquely qualified right now to step into this position. She'll be, in my opinion, as mayor, an outstanding leader for our police department, focused on strengthening recruitment, advancing institutional culture change, and most importantly, working to create safety for all of our neighbors. in my conversation with Chief Diaz, somewhat of a personal nature, I just talked about the amount of litigation. It has to be somewhat distracting. He's a human being and a good human being at that. And so the question in terms of, can you continue to evaluate or practice the type of excellence that we demand in this city while being, while addressing the allegations? Going back to Sue Rahr, she has a history of leadership in modern policing, in culture change, in recruitment. As you well know, she served as King County Sheriff, the Executive Director of the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission, and a member of President Obama's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. She is an expert in recruiting, in national best practices in modern policing, and in public safety strategies rooted in a commitment to keeping all people safe. We should be honored that Chief Rahr has agreed to step up and serve the great people of Seattle. She's also a subject matter expert or advisor to the 30 by 30 initiative, which I think many of you know is a national effort to see women comprise 30% of police recruits by the year 2030. Her insight and leadership in this area will be critical as we work to recruit more women officers and ensure the department reflects our values as a city. Simply put, she's the right person at the right moment to lead SPD into its next chapter. And we are grateful that she put retirement on pause to help our city, help our department, help all of you listening to me right now. You will hear from Chief Diaz in a minute and Chief Rahr in a minute, but let me also make one thing clear. We will immediately commence a national search for the next permanent police chief. Chief Rahr has made it clear to me that she will not be a candidate for the permanent appointment. She will work with former Chief Kathy O'Toole that we are in consultation with to help identify a list of qualified semi-finalist candidates. Let me also say this, that culture change is very hard. I am intentionally looking outside of the department to perhaps tap some of the talent in other cities, people with lived experience that may help us change culture. I'm very proud of our Seattle Police Department. Let me make that clear. When you look at the use of force numbers, you look at what's going on with limited resources, they make me proud as a mayor. So we will commence a national search for a next permanent chief of police. The interim chief, Chief Rahr, would not apply for that position. And I feel very confident that we will have a chief that can help us change the culture and create the police department that we all could be so very, very proud of. And with that, I'm going to ask Chief Diaz to say a few words, and then Chief Rahr, and then I'll be more than happy to answer some questions. Chief Diaz, you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. When I took on the role as Chief of Police over 4 years ago, I knew it would come with many challenges. The city was at a peak of a racial reckoning with protests and riots daily. There were calls to reimagine policing, a consent decree that had to be reset, a push to defund the police, violent crime on the rise, a culture that required change, and along with my command staff, I dove in to find solutions. In 4 years, we got back on track with the consent decree. I created Before the Badge, a nationally recognized program. I implemented a system to assess bias policing. I revamped our early intervention system, and I invested in officer wellness. Implemented an extensive plan for race and social justice. We reinvented crowd management, and we have nearly eliminated serious use of forces. Violent crime is down. Officer complaints are down significantly, and we're taking more guns off the street than ever before. We've recovered a number of drugs, and we've saved countless lives. We did this all with the help of creating a third public safety department as well. I've accomplished so much in the 4 years as chief, but there's more work to be done. I passed that challenge along to my predecessor, and I will continue to support the city as I transition to this new role. I want to thank the men and women of the Seattle Police Department for their hard work and the community that has supported us through every challenge. Thank you.
Well done, Chief.
What you saw was authenticity at its finest. I will say publicly and privately, Chief Diaz is a good human being, and he served us well. And I want to thank you for your continued leadership. You can't make up that kind of heart, and he's dedicated 27 years of public service to this city. And it is because of his commitment to this city, and I'll be just candid with all of you, as I only know how to be. He gets calls all the time to lead up other departments. He's committed to this city. And so I want to publicly thank you for your strong leadership, for your continued support. And with that, I will introduce Chief Rahr, Susan Rahr, and I gave your bio, but the mic is yours.
Thank you, sir. Oh, boy, that is... You can see why this is going to be a tough challenge, because I've got some big shoes to fill here. I am incredibly honored to be asked to step in and steer the ship as the mayor identifies a new chief. I just have a couple things that I want to say. First, to the men and women of the Seattle Police Department. You're going through some turbulence right now. I recognize that, and I want to do whatever I can to reassure you we're going to get through this. The first thing I'm going to do, first day in office, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going to start by listening. I want to hear from the men and women of the Seattle Police Department what you're seeing, what your ideas are, what you need. I need to understand what you're all facing on the street. I also need you to be brutally honest and open with me so that I can understand. Armed with that information, I am going to do my very best in the short time that I'm here to get you the tools and support that you need to deliver good policing to the people we serve. The Seattle Police Department has incredible talent that sometimes doesn't get recognized, and my goal is to make sure that the community gets to see the great work that's being done and build on that some more. To the people of Seattle, I know there are communities that are really grieving with this change, and I understand that. I'm also going to start, Reverend Walden, by listening to people. I want to understand what we can do together to improve people's sense of safety and to gain your trust. I know that's going to be a tough road, but we're going to do it. It's going to take me a lot of time to do this, because I know the residents and the businesses in Seattle are not one big monolithic block. Everybody's unique, every community's unique, and I'm going to take the time necessary to listen and learn what your needs are, what your ideas are, and what we can do together to continue improving safety. Finally, several people have asked me, why did I take this job? I was perfectly happy with my grandkids. Doing a lot of work in the consulting world on trying to improve the profession of policing. But I have to say, I feel a little uncomfortable standing on the sidelines preaching about what leaders should do. And I decided it's time to put up or shut up. So I'm going to jump into the arena again, not for a long time, but long enough to try and help my brothers and sisters that I've watched from across the street for so many years. There's still a few people that are as old as me, still in the Seattle Police Department, and I'm going to need a lot of help, and I'm going to have to gain wisdom. Eric, I work with your dad. I know your dad better than you, but I really am. I'm really excited to meet the men and women inside the Seattle Police Department that I don't yet know, because I know they have a lot of good ideas, and I know they've got good hearts, and I want to help them get those hearts out on display. So, Mayor, thank you again for your confidence. I won't let you down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
Okay, before I take a few questions, I do want to recognize Senator John Lovick here. Thank you for your continued support for public safety and for community. Thank you for being here. I want to recognize Councilmember Rob Sacco, who is here as an elected leader as well. And with that, I'll be more than happy to take some questions. Jim, I may have to help me navigate a few here. So. We're going to have a little order here. Just one sec. I heard Deborah in the back, though. She was.
Okay. Natalie, go ahead.
I tried, Deborah. So.
Yeah, I didn't see Deborah. I'm sorry. You're next, Deborah.
Mayor, first, two-part question. First, are there any other command staff changes that you can tell us about? And secondly, just with no formal, firm leadership in place right now with these changes, can you tell people Seattle State talk about the public safety plan?
Sure. Thanks for the question. First question, would there be command staff changes? We're discussing that now. Interim Chief Sue Rahr will make some decisions, and those discussions are occurring now. And number two, the city should have the ultimate faith in our police department. They are showing outstanding leadership. This is how you get better. How? You evaluate yourself. You hire people to give you feedback whether you want it or not. You have open dialogues with proven leaders. You put your own egos to the side and you say, we can do and we can be better. So the people of Seattle should feel good about this move. We don't make panic moves. We make strategic moves. And if there's one takeaway from this press conference, is I stand with this fine leader. That is his sacrifice for 27 years that we are building upon. So the people of Seattle should have the utmost confidence that we are trending in the right direction with the right policies and the right people, and we're going to keep on keeping on. Next question, please.
Okay. We'll go to Deborah.
Mayor, number one from Title 7. You've said glowing things about outgoing Chief Diaz. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? And then I do want to ask Sue Rahr a question.
Okay. So there was not one event, one straw that broke the camel's back, to use your description. My executive team and I, working with the police department, we are all about strategy and implementation. We're all about calibrating the issues of the city. And so, again, given the amount of litigation that has persisted, given by the interviews that we're having right now looking at one of the gender discrimination claims or harassment and hostile work environment, that we ask ourselves openly and honestly, number one, will the investigation, can we make sure that it is not impeded in any way, such that we have a good investigation, good recommendations? Might there be a threat of retaliation that we have to concern ourselves with? And if we're really committed to culture change as we are, should we make strategic changes? I actually signaled this about a month ago when asked the question openly. I said, I am always evaluating my department heads. The best thing a mayor could do is to make sure people at the right time are making the right decisions. And Chief Diaz is a human being. Certainly every time someone files a complaint against his department, it affects his ability to make some of the decisions. And so this was a collaborative process, and but there was not one event that triggered anything. I want to make that very clear. So I will not comment on any litigation. I think that's an unwise move by any stretch of the imagination. There's a process for that. It's called due process for a reason. And so we'll let the litigation and the claims play out with an impartial trier fact looking at these issues. Go ahead.
Okay. We'll go to Ashley, and then I'll come over to this side of the
Mayor, given the number of lawsuits that come from former regional candidates who are you putting a full stop on millions of the proposition, or are you
Yeah. Good question, Ashley. I'll repeat it just so. Really, the question, as I understand it, is as we conduct a national search, am I putting a full stop on internal candidates and strictly looking at external candidates? And the answer is no, I'm not putting full stops on anyone to apply. If you believe you are qualified to apply, I use the term standard of excellence a lot in some of my speeches. If you believe you bring the standard of excellence that we want to see here in Seattle, you should apply. I did make it very clear that the kind of culture change that I'm looking at, one has to question whether that can come from an internal candidate. I'm just going to be candid with you. The city is no stranger to this. You could look at former Chief Gil Kurlikowski, who came from the outside. You could look at former Chief Kathleen O'Toole, who came from the outside. There has been a history in our city where to create the kind of change that we want, we have gone external. So I'm being open and candid there, and we'll see what candidates we get.
Okay. We'll go to Erica and then Chris.
I have a feeling this is going to be a long day. Okay. Go ahead.
Two quick questions. I heard that John O'Neill and Eric Martin were clearing out their desks today. Can you comment on whether they are out or changing positions? And then can you explain what special projects means?
Sure. I think everyone heard the question. Good? No? Erica heard rumors about Deputy Chief Barton and Assistant Chief O'Neill, John O'Neill, whether they're on administrative leave or whether they're going to be in their positions, and the second part was
What is special projects?
what does special projects mean? Very good. Okay, very good. And will Chief Diaz change your salary? So let me take the second half first, since my brain works that way. Those details on salary and what special projects are being discussed right now, we'll have better clarity on that. That's a decision that we'll work out with the interim chief. I've made it very clear to the interim chief that we have 27 years of a strong police officer and chief here, and we want to be able to use that in some areas of concern, but we'll work those details out. With respect to the assistant chief status and deputy chief status, I'm not really positioned today to talk about their situations. First of all, that will be addressed by the new chief. And I want to make it clear, implicit in your question, we're asking her to run the department. There's no asterisks, parentheses or asterisks by Chief Rohr. She is a proven national expert in this space. So we are confident that she will look at the issues, the personnel issues, the allegations, and make strategic decisions. And I trust her discretion there, so I'm not in a position to say how that's going to play out today.
Chris? Mayor?
Yes, Chris.
You have obviously several active investigations into the police department, and you now have an interim chief. How do you possibly tell recruits to come to Seattle?
Yeah. Well, we are. I want to repeat those numbers right now, because I know how you just like printing my sound bites. Print these numbers. There are applications, around 17, 19 applications a day, compared to 5 or 6 last year. And so to answer your question directly, Chris, we have a wonderful police department. That's how we recruit. We are on the cutting edge. We pay a competitive salary. We believe in social justice. We believe in community-based policing. We have a city-wide body of employees that embrace the values we believe in. And Seattle is a great city. Ignore the rain you see today, Chris. Okay? We're going to get a good weekend this weekend, and we have a marvelous hand that we're dealt as a city. So I ask police officers, be part of the solution. We're recruiting constantly. I recruit every time I see someone that might have an inkling toward public safety. If you look at many cities, they struggle with strong leadership at the top. As I said in my earlier remarks, Chief Diaz gets calls all the time. He's nationally respected as a police chief. So we tell recruits, come help us improve the city, be part of the solution, and I feel very optimistic our recruiting numbers will continue to trend the way they are.
Mayor, I think Chief Rohr.
Oh, please, yes.
So I'm going to try and live up to that title of national expert on recruiting here. I had 9 years at the police academy, and I spent a lot of time talking to new recruits coming in the door. And you can imagine, after the murder of George Floyd and the uprisings, people kept saying, why on earth would anybody want to be a cop today? And I sat with my recruits and I said, this is the best time to become a cop. We are on the verge of a change in eras. Don't you want to be part of pushing this new change? When I look at what's happening inside the Seattle Police Department right now, I know there is some turbulence, but there is some incredible work being done. And I have to do a shout out to my friend, Senator Lovick. We worked tirelessly for 2 years to get state law changed so that we can implement flexible work schedules, which all the research across the nation internationally tells us that is our strongest recruiting tool for women, is to have flexible work schedules. I hope that we are able to work together as a team to make Seattle Police Department the most attractive department for women to come to work. Now, I want lots of people. We need lots of diversity. We need diversity of experience. But Seattle Police Department, if I can do it, is going to be the top recruiter for female recruits. This is going to be the place people want to come to work. I'm confident of that.
Then we'll go to Amari, and then David, and then Ashley.
Thank you, Mayor Harrell. Amari Sullivan, Converge Media. So you had mentioned, I think the number there on the sheet said that homicides year to year, were down 44%. Chief Diaz has over 2 decades just in community working with a lot of different groups and organizations. A lot of those organizations, community members are on the front line right now in violence disruption here in the city of Seattle, especially in the neighborhoods that we represent, the Central District and the South End of Seattle. We know that a lot of these organizations, members, community leaders, and everything else are being intentional in trying to fight back. And that's not the only reason why numbers are down, but it's a very important reason. What consideration are you taking in this transfer here into Interim Chief Rahr to keep these community connections in place that are very critical in driving down the homicide and violent crime rate in our city, and specifically the Central District and the South End? And Interim Chief Rahr, my question for you is, these relationships are there. What is your plan now, coming in new as an insider, outsider, insider, to be able to gain the trust that it's just not transferable from Chief Diaz to yourself? What are your plans coming into our community?
So I'll take a first stab at that, Omar. Thank you for the question. It's a critical question, and I want to concede and agree with your conclusion implicit in your question. That is, they are community-based organizations that are coming from geography, coming from homes, coming from families, coming from communities, many of whom have been traumatized, have experienced violence, helping us address the issue of violence. They are valuable partners. That's embedded in everything that we do. It does not center around one person, by the way, although you have been a remarkable leader in this space. It cannot center around one person. It has to be embedded in everything that we do. So we remain committed to this approach. It's a smart approach. It's an effective approach. And I know specifically the people doing this work, and I am incredibly impressed by their, not only their heart, but their actual actions, what they're out doing. We know near Rainier Beach, for example, that some of them put their own lives in harm's way in trying to be violence interrupters, experience violence by themselves around the Safeway at Rainier Beach. So we feel confident that this great work will continue. Chief Rahr, if you'd like to say anything in that regard.
Sir, I appreciate you bringing that up, because you're absolutely right. The Seattle Police Department cannot drive the crime rate down by itself. We cannot do that without partnering with the community. I'm extremely grateful that there's already groups in place, there's leaders in place. I've read in the newspaper about the work you've done, the sacrifices that your teams have made, and I am very anxious to sit down with you and make concrete plans about how do we continue this relationship and can we increase it. I was the gang unit commander in King County a long time ago when gangs were first becoming a problem, and one of the things that I learned firsthand is we cannot do this without the community and people who are inside of the community telling us what's going on, telling us what we need to know. We can't do it without you. So 100%, we're going to continue to work with you. I appreciate the work you've already done, and I hope we can continue going forward.
Okay, before I take another question, council members, I see 2 council members. Would you guys be so kind as to come on up here? Councilmember Wu, Councilmember Saka, come on up here so you're not standing in the back in the cheap seats. All right. There you go. That's our one Seattle at its finest right there. Thank you for attending this press conference, both of you. Jamie?
Yep, David.
Mayor, why not let the investigation run its course before making this decision?
Yeah.
And I know that in this last certain round of searches, it was difficult to get qualified applicants for people that we felt comfortable with. The department was going to be different this time.
Okay. I hope everyone heard the question, so I'll answer the question and sort of repeat it. So why not let the investigation that MFR are conducting before we make such a change? As an experienced attorney, playing a role in many investigations and through a discovery process, you do not need it to be complete before you reach certain conclusions. We have talked to the investigator about preliminarily on, well, how's it going, that kind of conversation. We concluded as an executive team, and I don't make these decisions in a vacuum, we decided as an executive team, if our goal is to achieve a standard of excellence in place, in safety and changing culture, what makes sense right now? We do not need to wait for the termination of an investigation. We do not need to evaluate that. And if we do it right, and by that I mean making sure that Chief Diaz is afforded his due process, he comes with a lot of community support that he has earned. I want to make that clear. Support that he has earned inside the department and outside the department. That we do not need the completion of a full investigation to reach the conclusion that we're about trying to move forward, and I have a sense of urgency in creating the safe city that I demand we have. That's why we didn't wait. Second part of the question I forgot. You're going to have to help me out again.
Seattle's ability to attract
oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I would disagree with your premise. I think with the last search we had 3 outstanding candidates, and I signaled, I encouraged Chief Diaz to apply. Some people might have read that in the recruiting world as, well, I'm not going to apply against a strong, effective internal candidate. So, you know, the recruiting world is not rocket science. People, the first thing people want to know is, it is truly an open, transparent process, and do I have a shot? And they do. So I'm very confident using our ability to network, and again, I think I mentioned in my opening remarks that former Chief Kathleen O'Toole will help us as well. And to be candid with you, I talk to mayors across the country all the time. And so, believe it or not, people love Seattle. People would like to come here to this great city. I could brag about this place all I want. So we feel very confident we're going to get a top-notch candidate. And I look forward to it.
Well, there you have it. Major change at City Hall in Seattle. Chief Adrian Diaz is out. Former King County Sheriff Sue Rahr is in, at least for the time being. And there will be a national search for a new permanent police chief. Mayor Harrell said that Chief Diaz is stepping aside, in his words, to work on special assignments. He says he is investigating allegations of racial, sexual, gender discrimination and harassment within the Seattle Police Department. He talked a lot about the culture of the department, and he said that the culture changes we want are better served by Chief Diaz stepping aside. And he says his department, that police department, will be trying to move forward.
Sue Rahr starts on the job as interim chief tomorrow, she said, at 9 a.m. She has a long resume of leadership positions in law enforcement, including being the former King County sheriff. The mayor described her as the right person at the right moment to come out of retirement. An expert, he said, in culture change and recruitment. Of course, recruitment there referring to the need to hire more police officers in Seattle. But recruitment now also refers to finding a new permanent chief, and heading up that job is former SPD Chief Kathleen O'Toole, who served a few years here in Seattle and was also here at a time of change as the department came to meet the federal consent decree. So we have a couple women with long histories in law enforcement leadership coming in to help Seattle make this transition.
Lots of change, a major announcement today. Again, Chief Diaz out, Sue Rahr is in on an interim basis. We're going to send you now back to regular programming.